Hello, welcome to UPSC PYQ Chronicles. This is the series on environment, and this is the third video of this series where we'll be discussing all the questions which are being asked by UPSC in various examinations like CDS, NDA, Civil Service Examination, CAPF, Geoscientist, EPFO, CBI, ED, etc. And the topic of the day is Biome-Ecosystem-Ecotone-Biodiversity hotspots. So let's get started. A biological community in its environment such as pond, ocean, forest, even an aquarium, it is an ecosystem. A transition zone of varied natural vegetation occupying the boundary between the two adjacent different plant communities is known as the ecotone. A juvenile ecosystem is characterized by energy usage which is primarily directed towards the multiplication and growth of the organism. In a juvenile ecosystem, the zoonosis are often monophagous. Which one of the following region is characterized by sensitive ecosystem? Enhanced occurrence of extreme weather events and the natural catastrophes. It is the mountain region. Which one of the following is the best description of the term ecosystem? Ecosystem refers to the community of an organism together with the environment in which they live. Which one among the following island is Southeast Asia is situated between Wellesley Line and the Weber's Line that are related to biodiversity? It is the Celebes, that is the Sulawesi. With reference to India's biodiversity, Ceylon frogmoth, coppersmith barbet, grey-cheeked minivet and the white-throated redstart, these are the species of the birds. Ecotone is a transitional ecosystem. Ecotone is a transition between the two ecosystems. Which one among the following statement regarding the ecotone is correct? Ecotone, it represents the transitional region between the two ecosystems. Consider the following regions. Which one of the above are biodiversity hotspots? It's the Eastern Himalaya and the Eastern Mediterranean region which are the biodiversity hotspots, whereas Northwestern Australia is not a biodiversity hotspot. The Biosphere Reserve Program was initiated by MAB program of the UNESCO, that is Man and Biosphere. Which one of the following is a terrestrial type of ecosystem? It is the coral reefs, which is a terrestrial type of ecosystem. The ecological niche of an organism relates to the specific habitat of that organism, that is known as the ecological niche of that organism. In which one of the following countries the Mediterranean type of biome is found? It is in the Chile that the Mediterranean type of climate is found. Biodiversity is highest in the tropic zone. Which one of the following is not a reason for the decrease in biodiversity? Large-scale deforestation. Yes, this is the reason for the decrease in the biodiversity. Exploitation of the forest produce. This is also a reason for the decrease in the biodiversity. Encroachment in the forest areas. This is also a reason for the decrease in the biodiversity. But whereas maintaining sacred groves will help us to increase the biodiversity of the forests. Besides species diversity, ecosystem diversity, which one of the following is included in the term biodiversity? It is the genetic diversity which is also included in the biodiversity. Which one among the following phenomena includes the processes such as the production, predation, nutrient transformation and the influx and the exflux of the energy and the material? It is the ecosystem function. Biome, the largest recognizable assemblage of the animal and the plants on the earth, is controlled mainly by the climate. Which one of the following is known as the life supporting zone of the earth? It is the biosphere, where the atmosphere and the hydrosphere and the lithosphere come together and forms a biosphere. Biodiversity is highest in wet evergreen equatorial forest. In India, which one of the following regions is a global biodiversity hotspots? It is the Western Ghats. Apart from this, there are other three regions which comes under the biodiversity hotspots, that are the Himalayas, the Indo-Burma region, and the Sundaland. An ecosystem comprises of all the living and the non-living things in an area. The greatest diversity of animal and plant species is found in the tropical moist forests. A biogeographic region with significant reservoir of biodiversity that is under the threat from human. This is known as the biodiversity hotspot. The decade of 2021 to 2030 is declared by United Nations as the decade of ecosystem restoration. Which one among the following is not a reason for low biodiversity? It is the abundance of the ecological niche, which is not the reason for the low biodiversity, whereas all other three options are the reasons for the low biodiversity. An ecotone generally refers to, it is the area between the two ecosystems of different evolutionary levels. The variability among living organisms from all sources, including the terrestrial, marine, and the other ecosystems and the ecological complexes of which they are part, which includes the diversity within species, between species of the ecosystem, refers to, it is the biological diversity which they are speaking about. Consider the following statement. Which one of the following statements are correct? Biodiversity is normally greater in the lower latitudes as compared to the higher latitudes. Yes, this is a correct statement. Along the mountain gradients, biodiversity is normally greater in the lower latitudes as compared to the higher latitudes. Yes, this is also correct statement. Hence, both 1 and 2 become correct. Consider the following statement. Biodiversity hotspots are located only in the tropical regions. No, this is wrong statement. India has 4 biodiversity hotspots, i.e. the Eastern Himalayas, Western Ghats, and the Andaman Nicobar. No, this is wrong statement. Neither 1 or 2 are correct. Which of the following statements about the biodiversity hotspot is correct? Biodiversity hotspots are identified by the IUCN. This is correct statement. Biodiversity hotspots are defined according to their vegetation. This is also correct. In India, Eastern Ghats, Western Ghats are the biodiversity hotspots. No, Eastern Ghats are not the biodiversity hotspots. Hence, 1 and 2 become correct. Which one of the following is the correct sequence of the ecosystem in the order of their decreasing productivity? Mangroves with the highest productivity, followed by grasslands, lakes, and the oceans. Option C is correct. Which one of the following terms describes not only the physical space occupied by an organism but also the functional role in the community of an organism? It is the ecological niche which the question is speaking about. With reference to an initiative called the Economics of the Ecosystem and the Biodiversity, which of the following statement is correct? It is an initiative hosted by UNEP, IMF, World Economic Forum. This is the wrong statement because this is an initiative hosted by UNEP. It is a global initiative that focuses on the drawing attention to the economic benefit of the biodiversity. This is the correct statement. It presents an approach that can help decision makers recognize, demonstrate, and capture the value of the ecosystem and the biodiversity. This is also correct. Therefore, 2 and 3 are correct. Consider the following international agreements. The International Treaty on the Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, the World Heritage Convention. Which of the above have bearing on the biodiversity? It is all of these which will have the bearing on the biodiversity. So therefore 1, 2 and 3 becomes the correct statement. With reference to India, consider the following central acts. The Import and Export Control Act of 1947, Mining and Minerals Development Regulation Act of 1957, Customs Act of 1962, Indian Forest Act of 1927. The question says which of the above acts have relevance to bearing on the biodiversity conservation in the country? It is all of these 4 acts will have bearing on the biodiversity conservation of the country. Which one of the following is not correctly matched? Pair regarding the regional biodiversity. Point richness, the number of species that can be found at a single point in a given space. This is point richness. Alpha richness, the number of species found in a small heterogeneous area. This is wrong because it should have been homogeneous area. The beta richness, the rate of change in the species composition across different habitats. This is also correct. Gamma richness, the rate of change across the large landscape gradient. This is also correct. So option B becomes the incorrect statement. With reference to the global environmental facility, which of the following statements are correct? It serves as the financial mechanism for the Convention on Biological Diversity and United Nations Framework Convention on the Climate Change. This is a correct statement. It undertakes scientific research on the environmental issues at the global level. This is wrong statement because it does not specify the scientific research. It is an agency under OECD to facilitate the transfer of the technology and funds to the underdeveloped countries with specific aim to protect their environmental. This is wrong statement because this is not OECD. This agency is under World Bank. So statement 1 becomes correct. Biodiversity forms the basis for human existence in the following ways: soil formation, prevention of soil erosion, recycling of the waste, pollination of the crops. It is all of these which forms the basis for the human's existence. So option D becomes correct. With reference to biodiversity, which of the following statement is correct? Species richness and the high degree of endemism are important criteria for the identification of biodiversity hotspot. Yes, this is correct statement. Species diversity is highest in the tropics and decreases down to the poles. This is also correct. Biodiversity conservation may be in situ as well as ex situ. This is also correct. So 1, 2 and 3 becomes the correct statement. Consider the following statement about the different biomes. Tropical savanna biome is a tropical grassland with scattered drought resistant trees. This is a correct statement. Temperate deciduous forest biome is a high altitude region in the Himalaya. This is also correct statement. Temperate coniferous forest biome is found in very dry environmental where temperature range from very cold to very hot. This is wrong statement. Tundra biome is found in the polar regions and characterized by the absence of trees, dwarf plants, wet and spongy, and the rough upper ground surface. This is a correct statement. So 1, 2 and 4 are the correct statements. With reference to the eco-sensitive zones, which of the following statements are correct? Eco-sensitive zones are the areas that are declared under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. This is a wrong statement because these were been declared under Environmental Protection Act of 1986. The purpose of declaration of the eco-sensitive zone is to prohibit all kinds of human activities in those zones except agriculture. This is also wrong statement because it is not just agriculture but horticulture, rainwater harvesting, tourism are also accepted from this. Hence, neither 1 or 2 becomes the answer. How does National Biodiversity Authority helps in protecting the Indian agriculture? NBA checks the biopiracy and protects the indigenous and the traditional genetic resources. Yes, this is correct statement. NBA directly monitors and supervises the scientific research on the genetic modifications of the crop. This is wrong statement because they don't directly monitor or supervise the scientific research or the genetically modification of the crops. So this is wrong statement. Application for the intellectual property rights IPR related to the genetic biological resources cannot be made without the approval of NBA. This is the correct statement because it cannot be made without the approval of NBA. So 1 and 3 becomes the correct answer. 3 of the following criteria have contributed to the recognition of Western Ghats, Sri Lanka and the Indo-Burma regions as the hotspot of the biodiversity. Species richness, yes, this has been contributed. Endemism, this has also been contributed. Threat perception, this is also contributed. Hence, 1, 3 and 5 is the correct answer for this question. Phytoplanktons produce most of the organic carbon in the ocean. This is correct statement. Algae are produced in the cold water biome. This is also correct. But statement 2 is not the correct explanation for the statement 1. So both the statements are individually true, but the statement 2 is not the correct explanation of the statement 1. Which one of the following can be threat to the biodiversity of the geographical area? It is the global warming, which can be a threat. Fragmentation of habitats, this can also be a threat. Invasion of the alien species, this can also be a threat, but whereas promotion of vegetarianism, this cannot be one of the threat. So 1, 2 and 3 becomes your answer. Two important rivers, one with its source in Jharkhand and known by a different name in Odisha, and another with its source in Odisha, merge at a place only a short distance from the coast of Bay of Bengal. Before flowing into sea, this is an important site of wildlife biodiversity and protects area. Which one of the following could be this? This is the Bhitarkanika. Which one among the following statement is not correct? Eastern Himalaya and the Western Ghats are the two biodiversity hotspots. This is the correct statement. Central American lowland and the highland forests are identified as biodiversity hotspot. This is also correct. The biodiversity hotspots are most confined to the tropical and the subtropical areas of the world. This is also correct. The Southeast Asian islands are not rich in biodiversity. This is wrong statement because they are rich in diversity. What is ecological amplitude? The range of demand and the consequent range of the tolerance of a species to the fluctuations in the environmental conditions. In simple, it is the range of environment where a species can tolerate it. What is bioenergetic approach in the modern ecology? It is the study of similarities and the differences in the food relationship among living organisms and the various forms of energy supporting their life. This is the bioenergetic approach. No trees are found in tundra biome near the polar regions of the northern hemisphere. This is because the frozen ice beneath the surface soil, that is the permafrost, restricts the growth of the root growth. Which one of the following can be threat to the biodiversity of a geographical area? This is a repetition. Why is plant called Prosopis juliflora often mentioned in news? Because it tends to reduce the biodiversity in the area in which it grows. It is an invasive species. Which one of the following is the correct sequence about the various levels of organization of biosphere? First comes the organism. The group of organisms create a population, and a group of population forms an ecosystem, which further creates the biosphere. Which one of the following statement about the biodiversity is not correct? The term biodiversity was coined by Walter G. Rosen in 1986. This is the correct statement. The term biodiversity hotspot was coined by Norman Mailer in 1988. This is also correct statement. The region having rich biodiversity are called biodiversity hotspots. This is also correct. More than 100 hotspots of biodiversity are identified in the world. No, this is wrong because this is not 100. This is 36. Consider the following regions of India. Which of the above is our biodiversity hotspots of the India? It is Western Ghats as well as the Eastern Himalayas which are the biodiversity hotspot and not the Aravalli Hills. Why is there a great concern about the microbeads that are released into environment? Because they are considered to be the harmful to the marine ecosystems. The Millennium Ecosystem Assessment describes the following major categories of the ecosystem services: provisioning, supporting, regulating, preserving, and the culture. Which one of the following is the supporting service? It is the nutrient cycle and the crop pollination. No trees are found in tundra biome near the polar regions of the northern hemisphere. This is because the frozen ice beneath the surface soil, permafrost, restricts the root growth. This is also repetition. With this, we complete all the questions which are being asked by UPSC on the biomes, ecotone, biodiversity hotspot, and the ecosystem. Thank you.